Hi there, welcome back to the channel. Happy Easter! It is Easter Sunday, so happy Easter to my friends, family, followers, strangers, anyone who celebrates. He is risen, alleluia. And even if you don't celebrate, I hope you're having a wonderful weekend, and thanks for joining me on the channel today. So, in full transparency, I am due at my sister's house for Easter dinner in about 2 hours. She lives an hour and a half away, and I have a lot to do. So I thought I would kill two birds with one stone and just kind of do a recap for my followers to let you know the sacrifice that I made throughout Lent. So without further ado, let's talk about what I gave up for Lent. Okay, so as usual, we have a lot going on in my family. My niece is moving to Florida. I'm very excited for her. This is such a wonderful next step in her journey. So we're helping her pack up. She's actually moving tomorrow. And like I said, we're having Easter dinner. So in the mix of this all, I have things that I'm packing up to give to her for her new apartment. And I'm also in charge of Easter egg hunt, along with my sister's sister-in-law. So for Lent this year, I wanted to do something really meaningful, and I hope that these candies are not too loud as I'm packing them up. But I wanted to do something that was meaningful and impactful, and that I thought would really be a true sacrifice. So the two things that I actually gave up for Lent were, number one, alcohol, and number two, social media. Let me talk a little bit about alcohol. I'm not a huge drinker. I mean, I'm what you would probably consider a casual drinker. I'll have a drink with my friends. I'll have a drink with my husband after work. I'll have a drink sometimes if I had a rough day at the end of the week. Those things rarely happen in the same week. It's usually like, let's go out. You know how it is. You're in your late 40s, which I don't want to admit, I'm almost 50. You're in your late 40s. You want to get together with your friends like on a weekly basis, but that happens like every 6 months. So when I talk about I have dinner or drinks with my friends at dinner, it's probably like a once every 6 month thing. I cannot get these eggs. Here's me trying to, I used to be able to walk and chew gum at the same time. That doesn't happen anymore. So anyway, so in context, I'm not a huge drinker. However, I did have a couple of get-togethers this year during Lent, which I was like, I wish I could have a drink, but I didn't. And that was kind of part of the sacrifice. And I want to put like a disclaimer out there. This is my experience. I don't judge people who drink. I don't judge people who like to have a drink after work, like to have a drink with work. I'm that person. But I just wanted to say this was my experience. So, like I said, this was probably the lesser of the two sacrifices, but it did make me reflect on that mentality that I sometimes have when I do have a rough week at work. And I do think, I'm going to have a whiskey sour, that's my drink. Or we're going out, I'm having a margarita. And, you know, that's fun and that's fine. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. It did make me pause to think, why do I think that? Like, why do I think I need to have a drink if I had a rough day, if I'm seeing my friends? So that it just was something that, like I said, that was probably the less impactful of the two, just because I'm not a big drinker. But it did make me reflect on the role alcohol plays in my life. And I've seen it all. You know, I have family members who rely on alcohol a little bit too much. I've seen alcohol destroy people's lives. I am fortunate enough to have not gone down that path, but I know many who have. So again, this is not a judgment. It's just a reflection on my pause from alcohol. Now, will I go back and have alcohol? Yeah, I mean, I plan on it. I have a bottle of wine that's been sitting there with my name on it for over a month. And my dear friend Carissa gave me a bottle of wine for Christmas. Again, that's how often we get together. We had our Christmas exchange about 3 weeks ago. It's April 5th right now. It's April 5th right now. And we had our Christmas get together like 2 weeks ago. So will I drink alcohol again? Yes. Will I think about it a little bit more on those days when I'm just like, I need a drink. Probably. And that was just enough of a reflection for me to say, hey, this is kind of a vice that I have occasionally, and maybe I could have a better go-to if I'm having a rough day, or if I'm just kind of feeling blah, like take a walk, which is what I did. Incidentally, that's what I ended up doing, was walking. So the next thing that I gave up for Lent was social media. What does that mean? I think social media might mean something different for different people. Like, I think some people consider YouTube social media. I don't. I look at YouTube as more of a means for me to get information. And that might seem silly, but there's a lot of news sources on YouTube. There's a lot of independent reporters on YouTube. And there's just a lot of fun people on YouTube as well. Like, one of my favorite content creators is Chair Denise. I follow her. She does a lot of books. She'll kind of go through books and read them with you. And she does some social commentary too. So anyway, I don't look at YouTube as social media. And if I did, I failed at this social media experiment. What I'm talking more about is Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. So I deleted them from my phone on Ash Wednesday. The only caveat I had to that, and I actually felt guilty about this, was I posted a couple of times throughout Lent, not much because I don't make many videos, but I posted to let my followers know that I had posted a new video on YouTube. So I don't really have any means of getting that out unless you're a subscriber, which if you are, thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are magical to me. But some people just, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I don't know if my in-laws kind of do that subscriber thing. So if I post a new video, I don't think they would know unless I put it on Instagram. So that was the only caveat to my social media. This was definitely more impactful for me. I realized how much of my time those social media platforms suck up. Is it their fault? No, it's my fault. I make the choice to open that app every day and get lost in Reels and TikToks and things like that. But in doing this sacrifice, it did make me think about how much of my life has been spent living my life through other people, living their experiences, waiting for their opinions on things. So it made me reflect on a bunch of different things. I think one of the most jarring things that, like when I first started doing this, I think one of the most jarring things was how much I reflectively went to my phone when I had downtime to go to social media. I was instinctively going to my phone to look at my Facebook, and I'm like, oh, I deleted it off there. I can't do that. So it made me look for other things to do to occupy that downtime. And a lot of times that was nothing. I just learned to be okay with the silence. I learned to be okay with not knowing what was going on 24 hours a day. That was part of it too. So that was probably the hardest part. The initial sacrifice was the hardest part because it is, and I realize this now, it is such a big part of my daily life that almost felt like I was forgetting to do something. That made me realize social media is a problem for me. What else did it do? It made me also realize like how much I was constantly looking for the next thing. We live in a world of breaking news all the time, and something is always happening. And it has felt like that for years, probably more so since the pandemic, but you don't ever want to not know what's going on. At least that's how I thought. Getting away from that, constantly connected, always needing to know what's going on, breaking news all the time. What a complete soul cleanser that was. That might be dramatic, but that's the only way I can describe it. My husband would come home from work and say, did you hear what happened with so-and-so? Or my kids would say, oh my gosh, did you see that reel? And I was like, no. And I didn't really care to. I don't want to say that I was blissfully unaware. Like I said, I still watched the news. I still tuned into the news channels that I follow on YouTube and my local news. But I didn't have that constant, and it is almost like a doom and gloom. What is going to happen to next? So as a result of that, I felt more free and joy and relaxed and in tune. That was probably the best thing that came out of this. The other thing you notice when you're not on social media is how much other people are on social media. And that's not judgmental. Please, I love my friends and family. It's not judgmental, but you realize how not present people are. I don't want to say you feel less valuable, but you definitely feel their presence not being there. Again, I'm not judging. I'm there. If I could go back and take all the time back that I wasted on social media while my kids were little, while my kids were growing, while I was going through different parts of my life, I would do it in a heartbeat. It did make me reflect on all that time that I'd lost. And truthfully, I don't want to lose any more time because life is so short and time is so precious and tomorrow is not promised. Do I really want to waste my life on earth staring at a screen, looking at other people's opinions, looking at reels of dogs? Okay, dogs, maybe. Maybe I'll look at the occasional dog reel, but do I really want to live my life through other people? No, I do not. So, like I said, that was another thing that came out of it. You kind of start to realize how not present other people are. And I'm saying that in the most non-judgmental way because, again, I was there. I think we're just so addicted to them, we don't realize it. And we're not going to realize it until it's too late. So what did I do with all that time? Well, my dogs got a lot of it, and I think they were happy about it. Like, I'm someone who walks my dogs multiple times per day anyway because they just need to get out of the house. But we started taking longer walks and more frequent walks and, just being more present with them. And when we were sitting on the couch together, it wasn't me sitting on the couch with my phone, with my dogs. It was me being present on the couch with my dogs. So I got that time back. The other weird thing that I think we do, and I think everybody does it, is when you're on your social media platforms and you're watching a movie, are you really watching a movie 100% of the time? I went back and watched a couple of movies that I had watched before, and I'm like, I missed that, or TV shows even. We are huge King of Queens fans and The Office fans and the Golden Girls, and those are a couple of our favorite shows. Retro shows. I mean, we have more recent shows. We're not stuck in the 80s and 90s. I mean, I kind of wish I was sometimes, but I'm not. But so you go back and you're actually watching the shows and you're listening to every word and you're like, wait, I missed that before. Or you see things like, wait, there's a boom mic or there's a light in the ceiling that I don't think is supposed to be there. So that was kind of like a fun thing too. Okay, so one of the other things I started to do is pay more attention to my health. Because I realized that sometimes we go on social media and you look for ideas to be more healthy, and it can be overwhelming, discouraging, and actually have the opposite effect. So I realized that like when I was on social media, I always had these grand ideas of how even though we were gonna be healthy, it was gonna be, I could make these gourmet foods or make everything interesting. And it kind of made me realize like, I don't need to do that to who am I impressing? Myself? Like, kudos to you if you make these fancy meals and you have the time and you make ordinary stuff look great. That's awesome, but I'm just not that person. So, but I think I was striving to be that person because I feel like everyone else on social media was doing that. So it makes you compare yourself to others less and realize what you have, I think. Not that I didn't realize how blessed and lucky I was before, but it really makes you pause and think about how blessed you are. So that was big. So what else did I do with my time? I actually discovered Hallow app. Now, I'm Catholic, so obviously I'm talking about Lent. So I'm Catholic, and I had done a free trial of Hallow app before, but again, I was so sucked into social media. It was just one more thing that I didn't have time for. So I really honed into the Hallow app, and this is from last year. I found a Reese's peanut butter cup in the stuff from last year. I'm sure it's still fine. I think they put enough preservatives in candy to last decades. But anyway, so I found and downloaded the Hallow app, and I thought, this is I'm always up for learning something. I mean, I'm Catholic. I was raised Ukrainian Catholic. I am now Roman Catholic. But do I know everything there is to know about Catholicism? No. Am I a perfect Christian? No. Am I a perfect Catholic? No. I'm far from perfect. I want to learn more about my faith and more about the Bible every day. And this really afforded me that time. And that sounds so dumb. Like, I didn't have time before to learn more about my faith because of social media, but I'm just being brutally honest here. That's how it was. So I downloaded the Hallow app, and I found a couple of devotions that I started doing every day. I found a couple of different stories to follow and like daily routines to get in. And if nothing else, that was probably the most life-changing aspect of this little, I don't want to call it an experiment because it wasn't. It was a sacrifice, but that probably was the most impactful part of this Lent because it got me more in tune with my faith. It made me, again, I've always wanted to learn more, but there was a daily yearning for me to open that app and what was next on my journey, what was next in my devotional. So one of the routines that I did on the Hallow app was called the Lent Pray 40, and I just dropped my camera. I'm like a disaster. I paused the camera to get my phone because I wanted to show you the Hallow app, and I completely dropped my camera. But anyway, I did Lent Pray 40 on the Hallow app. That was one of a couple of different daily routines that I did. And so what they did was they read the Brothers Karamazov. You could have ordered the book and read through it with them. It's 700 pages of Russian literature. It's just not something that I'm into, but after hearing it, maybe I will read it. So I'm going to read from the Lent Pray 40 to kind of talk about what every day there was a daily session, what happened. This was a journey back home to Father with the Brothers Karamazov and the Return of the Prodigal Son by Father Henri Nouwen. We'll see how Dostoevsky's famous novel brings the parable of the prodigal son to life like never before, showing us how we're all further from God than we need to be. The good news is God is waiting for us, open arms, running out to meet us while we are still a long way off. So I followed that daily, and so it looks like this. I did this for every day of Lent, and it really was life-changing. They had different speakers. They had Father Mike Schmitz, Mark Wahlberg, Chris Pratt, Sister Miriam, Jeff Cavins, Mother Olga, and they actually had people like Patricia Heaton talk about her journey through Catholicism. So I really did get more in tune with my faith. And after all, that's what you want to do when you're giving something up for Lent. It's not just a sacrifice to see if you can do it. Maybe that's part of it, but it's a sacrifice to make you think about things, contemplate things, maybe, grow deeper in your connection with God, and maybe have a better gratitude for Christ and his sacrifice on the cross for all of us. Again, I am not a preacher. I'm not an expert on religion. I'm just a sinner who is trying to connect closer with my faith. So lastly, the last thing that I will tell you that I started doing every day was praying the rosary. And again, I grew up Catholic, and I should probably have known how to pray the rosary regularly, like right out of the gates, but I didn't. It had been so long since I prayed the rosary that the nice thing was in the app, they do have guides. You have different guides to walk you through and kind of different tempos, whether you're looking for like a soft, nurturing person, a calming person, a bolder person. So they have different options to walk you through the rosary. And I started out really meekly thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. My husband had purchased a rosary for me for Christmas, which I love very much. World War I battle beads. It's combat rosary. So I started praying the rosary every day. I didn't know what I was doing, but now I'm comfortable and confident with it, and I pray the rosary on my own. I still use the Hallow app because I like having that guide with me. But so I started praying the rosary every day. And actually, I'm at the point now that I pray a morning rosary and an evening rosary. And it's amazing how calming and reflective that makes you when you're praying the rosary. There were times that, and there still are times that I was praying the rosary and you almost get in like a trance-like state because you're just praying, you're so focused on praying to Mary. So that's my experience of what I got out of giving up alcohol and social media for Lent. Now, were there downfalls? Yes, of course. I felt really disconnected. I'm sure I missed birthdays and anniversaries and big events in my friends' and family's lives. And for that, I'm sorry if I missed anything major. I hope you know I was with you in spirit, even though I wasn't with you on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. My calendar, I got a lot of reminders on social media apps. So like events that were coming up, I kind of was blind to that stuff too. At the end of the day, it was a great experience for me. Will I go back to social media? I do not have an urge to go back to Facebook or Instagram or TikTok. I might. I'm not saying I never will. I definitely will for my channel go back to Instagram, maybe Facebook, but I don't have like a burning urge. I have given up social media in the past, and maybe I just didn't do it right because I couldn't wait to get back on Easter Sunday. And this time I'm like, I don't need that stuff in my life anymore. So if I could figure out a way to be abreast of all of what's going on in the area without being on one of those platforms, I would like to do that because it's a time suck for me. And I'm almost 50 and I don't know how much time I have left, so I don't want it to suck. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed my reflection on what I gave up for Lent and what it meant to me. I hope it was meaningful to you. I do want to talk a little bit about future episodes. I'm really excited. I know I've said that before, but I'm really excited. I have a couple of episodes planned. I'm going to give you a life update because we've just had a lot happen with us over the past couple of months, so I want to share that with you. I've also taken a trip to the Hershey, the spa at the Hotel Hershey, so I have a review of that. We have a couple of trips from last year that I didn't get a chance to post. I want to get those done, and then hopefully we could start the summer up and running with new material. You might have, after you see my life updates, you might see why I'm not doing as much travel in central Pennsylvania. I would like to still do a couple of highlights here or there, but we just have had some circumstances that have not allowed me to do that. So if you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate your time and ears, and I hope it meant something to you. Am I going to have a drink tonight? Maybe. We'll see. But I'm definitely not going to get back on social media. I got to get these eggs done, and I got to get over to my sister's because I've been rambling for so long. I have to leave in 15 minutes, and I'm nowhere near done. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.